Hi, I'm Brian Cohen, the founder of Amazon Ad School, and today we're going to talk about how to decipher the strange world of Amazon advertising. Now, if you've self-published a book, you already know that it is a challenge. Writing it is one thing, right? You've got to format, publish it, market it. It's a Herculean task for sure. Fortunately, there are many authors who have come before you and who have done this effectively. They have not just put out the book, but they have actually sold copies of it. They have marketed it. So you can too if you have self-published or you are thinking about self-publishing. Now, today's presentation is not going to get into the how to publish. I'm sure there are other talks that are geared towards that. This is about the marketing, specifically about Amazon advertising. Now, I do host a quarterly free challenge to help authors profit from their ads. I will share the basics of what has worked for them during these challenges from those fellow authors of yours. We're all in this together. Before self-publishing, there wasn't a lot of ongoing promotion for books. It was a lot about the launch. And if you do well with the launch, then maybe they can talk about a deal for a second book in a series. Unless, of course, it was a runaway hit. Usually, you launch the book and then it's over. But that's not really how it works anymore. With paid advertising to your self-published books, with email marketing, with discount promotions for existing backlist titles, you can actually find readers long after the launch is over. A lot of authors will get more sales over the life of the book, 2 to 3 or more times the number of sales that they do in a launch, if not even more. And so that is something that is new here in the self-publishing world that was not necessarily the case beforehand. And after 10 years in self-publishing myself, I have learned that the most affordable way to promote my own books and then for authors in a variety of genres to promote their own books is through Amazon advertising. This is a great way to continue to get attention to your existing books long after the launch is through. But whenever you bring dollars and cents into the picture, I understand you cannot help but run into some difficulties. There's a lot to think about. It gets a little scarier when you're putting that money out, and I intend to help you through those difficulties. Now, I know this is kind of like talking about numbers for word people. And in order to succeed in self-publishing, you will need to grasp some of the numbers, some of the time. I'm not saying you need to have a math degree here, but you do need to get some of the numbers figured out some of the time. You're going to have to push through the times when it feels like the math is too hard, because there will be some times where you're having to learn something. And so you are going to have to push yourself a little on that. But I have seen authors who say, I haven't touched a math book in 50 years. Authors in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s get a handle on the concept of advertising spend, the concept of profit. So it's very possible that with enough stick-to-itiveness, you can pull it off. You can follow in the footsteps of those before you who have figured this stuff out. My goal for you and for every member of the author community is to make things as simple as possible for you. There are going to be numbers. There's going to be stats. I'm going to show you pictures from the inside of my own Amazon ad dashboard, but I want you to keep in mind that nothing matters more in all of the advertising that you do than turning a profit. There's going to be a lot of numbers, a lot of facts, a lot of figures. But when it comes down to it, all that matters is, did you earn more money? If you have higher royalties than you do ad spend, you have turned a profit. If you spent $50 but you made $70, you have turned a profit. And profit can be scaled up to make more profit. So it's a very happy thing to have a little bit of profit. Now, if it is the reverse, yes, if ad spend is higher than royalties, you've gotten a loss. This may seem very simple, but a lot of people really struggle with this at the beginning. In this early stage, before we really get our hands dirty here, we need to focus on whether or not your ads have led to profitable results. That's what we want to focus on. That is the number one goal here. Here's what you're going to learn today in the presentation. You will learn how to run Amazon ads as a self-published author. You'll also learn how to read the Amazon ad dashboard so you know what the various statistics actually mean. You will learn how to create the easiest Amazon ad. We will show you how to do it as simply and easily as possible. And we will show you how to simplify your understanding for what it actually means to turn a profit from your books and your ads. It can look very complicated to figure this out, but in reality, it is not so bad. Here's what you're going to need. You will need an internet browser. I do expect you to do some of this on your own. Some of the advertising as well. An Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing account. If you have self-published books and you run them through Amazon, this is usually the way you would do it. Enough time to watch this video, and I would recommend 30 to 60 minutes to do the homework. And this is, nobody says this kind of thing, but you will need focus, you will need patience, and you will need perseverance to get through all of this, because it can be a little bit difficult. You may ask now, Brian, you've said self-published a couple times. What if I'm not self-published? If you have books with a small press or a traditional publisher, you will have to create an account with Publish Drive. This is one of the workarounds. An account with Publish Drive in order to run Amazon ads. It is a clunky workaround, but it is definitely possible to do, and we've seen several of the authors I've worked with have done it this way. But I want you to keep in mind, self-published authors usually only squeak out a profit when they earn $1 to $2 per book sold. Now, in a lot of agreements and arrangements with small presses and traditional publishers, you're making less than that. So if you earn less than $1 to $2 per book sold, running Amazon ads to your traditionally published books is likely not to result in a profit. So, worth keeping in mind. Yes, you can run ads if you're not self-published. Should you? That really comes down to, can you turn a profit? So, signing into Amazon ads, in case you haven't jumped in a while or ever, let's make sure that we can. So you're going to go to advertising.amazon.com. You'll choose the United States from the drop-down menu, and then you'll sign in. There's a middle button there for advertising console. Yes, I am going to show this to you, but these notes will hopefully be helpful anyway. You click on advertising console. If that doesn't get you into the platform, there is a workaround. If you go to your bookshelf, you click the Promote and Advertise button, which shows up next to every book, and then you select Create an Ad Campaign, and you will choose the US, the Amazon.com marketplace. Once you are in, you're going to scroll to the top left corner. there are 3 horizontal lines that'll, if you click on it, it makes a menu appear, and then you're going to put in your credit card information. Obviously, Amazon ads cost money, so they need a funding source in there. Then you're going to check your payment settings, make sure your account is up to date. If you have an Amazon account in general for buying things, it will probably have your credit card stored in there. You just have to pick one of them. Now, there are some pitfalls when you're setting up an ad account. If you can't get your payment info to stick, Amazon can be a little clunky on this platform, so you want to log in and out a few times. Keep trying. Don't give up. If you can't log in through advertising.amazon.com, you're going to want to try that backdoor method, going to your KDP bookshelf, clicking Promote and Advertise, and choosing to run a campaign that way. I will show you both methods. If Amazon says you can't create an ad, there's something wrong with your account. For now, just create the ad in a draft, and then you're going to want to call Author Central, where you can get in touch with a person on the phone, and they can help walk you through whatever the issue is. Now, if you have run ads before and all of your old campaigns are not showing up, just make sure to close out of any filters and make sure that you have your campaign dates set properly. So sometimes if you say, hey, I want to look at my ads, but nothing is showing up, and we realize, oh, it's saying 2019, and you're looking at the wrong year, and that is a common situation. So you might ask, can you just show me how to do it? Of course I can. I'm very happy to do so. Here we are on advertising.amazon.com. You click the sign in button. You will see that there are a few options here, but we're going to click Advertising Console, and you'll see it's asking me to log in to Amazon, which I will do. And here we are. This is the advertising account right here. You'll see I've been pretty busy. But let's take a look. Let's see if you couldn't get in that way. If we're going in through your KDP publishing platform, Kindle Direct Publishing, you sign in, you go to your bookshelf, and you see here we are scrolling down to one of the books. I'm going to click on this Promote and Advertise button right here. Now you scroll down here, we see this Run an Ad Campaign. So if I click here, I click .com, and I click Create an Ad Campaign, it's going to let me in. And we will go over what all of this means in a bit, but you will always use the Sponsored Products ad. Sponsored Products is what you will use. So once you're in the ad account, you'll look for these 3 horizontal lines, and that's where you'll see your billing and payments. From there, you can add in your credit card information in the Manage Payment Settings box right here, and then you will be able, there's also a tab up top. You will add in your credit card, and then you should be ready to run Amazon ads. Now, what does it all mean? You might have even seen a little glance in my account there and said, what do all those statistics mean? Well, there's some terms that are helpful to know when you first go into the ad dashboard. Impressions. Impressions are when a reader sees your ad. Now, the ads will show up when you search a term on Amazon, like I search superhero books, and an ad for my superhero book might show up. When you are on someone else's book, you're on someone's superhero book, you might scroll down and see your ad show up there. So when someone sees your ad in either of those locations, we see a impression get logged. Now, these are free. You do not pay for impressions, but you do pay for clicks. When someone clicks on your ad, when they interact with your ad, they will visit your book's product page, and that click is what Amazon actually charges for. So for someone to see your ad in the wild on Amazon, you don't get charged for that. When someone actually clicks on the ad, you do get charged on it. Now, you get to choose how much you want to pay for these clicks, and that is through the bidding process. Usually, I recommend no more than 35 cents per click. I would not bid more than 35 cents. And if you have a standalone novel or nonfiction book, I would probably bid just 30 cents. Click-through rate. This is the percentage of clicks you've received based on your number of impressions. Click-through rate, which is shortened by CTR, is the abbreviation there. This is however many people click out of your number of impressions. So how many people saw your ad and clicked on it, that is click-through rate. So one click out of 100 impressions would be 1%. Most ads are less than 0.1% click-through rate. Cost per click. This is the average amount that you've paid for one of those clicks. So if you bid 35 cents, you won't pay more than 35 cents, and you'll usually pay a little bit less. So cost per click is how much you've paid on average for that campaign. And then the ad spend is how much you've spent for those clicks for the whole campaign or for all of your ads. So if I have 10 ads running and they've gotten a variety of clicks, I will actually get to see how much did this spend today or how much did this spend this month. And that is how much your ad spend will be. Obviously, going back to what we said profit was, you compare your ad spend to your royalties. Now, to find ad spend, which is one of the few statistics I trust from the Amazon ad dashboard, there are multiple statistics I would ignore. Ad spend is kind of at the top. If you named all your campaigns effectively, which I'm actually going to get into a little later, you can filter out and only look at ads for the one book that you want to check out at that time. Let's say I was running ads to book one in 2 different series. I would want to look at one book's ads at a time. If you do that, you can see how much you spend on a certain book. And I'm going to show you, it's basically at the top of the spreadsheet. You will see how much money you have spent. Now, if you kind of jump into things and don't name your ads well, there are some options. You can actually put your ads into a folder known as a portfolio, which allows you to see all of the ads for a certain book all in the same place. So the statistics I recommend focusing on. Beyond ad spend, clicks are very important, because if you have 0 clicks, it means that nobody has actually clicked on one of your ads. So you might not know how well your ads are doing because nobody has actually interacted with them. Now, it's helpful to see how many people have actually looked at these ads. Impressions are really helpful to know if your ad is being seen, if it's serving, as they say. And anything below a few thousand in a week is not serving all that much. So we want to probably run more ads if we don't see that many impressions. Now, click-through rate can indicate something known as relevancy. Amazon really likes it if you are promoting your book to only the most similar books to your own. if you write in paranormal romance, it does not like you promoting on thriller books. So you want to make sure you're promoting your book on like books and using like keywords and like categories. You do not want to be advertising your book on everything under the sun. Now, these stats can take a little while to come up. They can take days to show up and weeks to interpret. So I always get all the questions, is this good? Is this good? After about 5 hours of the ad running. And I recommend patience during this process because it can take a little while for everything to populate. Now, Amazon does not make things easy. This Amazon advertising dashboard has several major flaws, and that makes it really hard to tell if an ad campaign is doing well or not. It makes it very difficult to see if you're profiting on the ad dashboard. That's why I'll recommend a little later that we actually look somewhere else for our sales information. I like to only look at the Amazon ad dashboard for the number of clicks and the amount of money you've spent on ads. Now, if an ad campaign click leads to a borrow on Amazon's exclusive platform, Kindle Unlimited, it will not necessarily show up on the dashboard. You won't know that somebody has borrowed your book on Kindle Unlimited. If an ad campaign click leads to a sale, there is a significant chance that it won't show up on the dashboard. There's up to a 50% chance that a sale that should have said, Amazon should have said, hey, someone clicked on your ad and bought the book. 50% of the time, Amazon is going to miss it, like it slips through their fingers or something. I don't know why, but it obviously makes the tracking kind of difficult. Now, I have had ads that clearly say $0 in sales. They look like an abject failure. But I can prove that some of those ads have earned me thousands of dollars in profit because I was not running ads before I started making sales on that book. I only began to make sales when I ran the ads. So I know that the ads were very responsible. So these are all things to keep in mind when you're taking a look at this platform for the first time. Amazon has said in a conversation with me and some other authors that they don't actually trust their own numbers. There are some statistics, the number of sales that they say came from an ad, the number of orders they say came from an ad, and a statistic called advertising cost of sale, which is just based off of the sales and the ad spend. And they've said, hey, I know the numbers are not accurate. And so, yes, according to Amazon itself, at least one of their reps, if you look at your sales numbers on the ad dashboard, you will be calculating your profit incorrectly. So this is why just looking at the ad dashboard isn't enough to tell if one of your ads is doing well. As I mentioned, even if an ad shows up as leading to $0 in sales, it could be wrong, especially if your book is in Kindle Unlimited. Now, I recommend that you check the KDP beta dashboard, which I'm going to go into a little later. This is the best way to know if you've earned a profit off of your ads, because according to Amazon, all their ads are losing you money. But you have to look deeper, because obviously some people have made money off of ads. How come all my ads look like they're doing poorly? It's because of Amazon's weird tracking. Now, it's inconvenient to have to look, I have to look at the ad dashboard to see if I spent money, and I have to look at this KDP dashboard to see if I made money, but Trust me, when it becomes a part of your everyday process, it's not so bad. Now you might want to see these numbers in action. Well, I am happy to share how it all works. So if we go back to the home page of the ad dashboard, we can always get there in these top 3 little lines and click campaigns. Now we can look at our statistics here. Don't be overwhelmed. I do spend a fair bit of money on my ads. But if we look over here, we can look at a variety of columns. We have when the ad started. And let me zoom in just a tiny bit here. We have when the ad started, the start date. We have when the ad is set to end, the end date. We have the budget, how much you want to spend for your ad. And here we get into some of the things I just shared. Impressions. How many people have seen the ad? Number of times the ad were displayed. Clicks. How many times your ads were clicked? And here's how many clicks I have, 7,300. Your click-through rate. It's your clicks divided by your impressions. How much you've spent on the ads. I spent $2,300 last month. And the cost per click, how much those cost. Then we get into some things that don't matter. 616 orders, according to Amazon. $4,900 in sales. I make between 30 and 70% on that. So if we were to round that out to 50%, I would say, because this is your gross sales. This is before Amazon takes their cut. $4,900, let's say it's 50% of that, gets us around $2,500. So according to Amazon, made about $2,500 in royalties on $2,300 in ad spend. That's only a couple $100 profit. Now, as we'll get into, that is not true. And then we have our A costs, that advertising cost of sale. So those are the statistics Amazon shows. Now, in order to get these to show, because if in the default, not all of these things show up. Not all of these things show up. So you actually need to click on Customize Columns. You want everything to show up. And you click Apply, and then all the fancy information shows up. But according to Amazon, I spent $2,300, made approximately 50% of what this number is, so I didn't make very much money. But if we go to the KDP dashboard, this is the KDP reports, it's the beta dashboard. If we go to the royalties estimator and we look at last month, if Amazon's right, I should have made about $2,500 here. But according to this, I actually made close to $4,400. So Amazon's numbers don't check out over here, but they do check out pretty well here because this is the number that ends up in my checking account. So that it literally does check out. Now, the orders here are listed 616 orders. So that's 616 units sold. If I uncheck the free button here and I go to last month, so I'm looking at July to July 31st, and I apply. It says I've actually sold close to 1,700 books, whereas these ads say I've only sold 616. So orders, the sales, this gross sales amount, and the A costs are not particularly accurate. Now, we're looking at a campaign level here. We could actually click into one of the ads, and we could look at these exact statistics on the inside. If we click on the targeting here, we can see that last month, just in this one ad, we had 637 clicks, 230,000 impressions, and this amount of spend. So as you can see, these numbers, you can look at them, you can assess them as much as you want, but when it comes down to it, the most important one is spend. Because we want to compare that spend to how much we have earned in our royalties. Now, whether you're running your first ad or your 100th ad, we want to just set up something pretty easy today. Automatic ads will actually use some of the information you provided Amazon. You told them, hey, here are the categories I want my book to be in. Here are the keywords that I think are similar to my book and my title. And it uses that information to generate potential advertising targets. Now, theoretically, if you picked all of the things right, the categories, keywords, your title, this should put your book in front of the titles, in front of the other books that are most like yours. So that relevancy factor, that similarity that Amazon really craves, you can make an effort to fulfill that by running these auto-targeted ads. Now, how do you create one? First, we pick a name that includes an acronym for your book that you can kind of easily search. So I have a book called The Viral Superhero Series, so I use TVS. We only are creating sponsored product ads, so I refer to sponsored product auto ads as SPAs. The A is for auto. And then you could say how much the bid is. You could say if you were going to use some ad copy, which we're not going to today. You could say what kind of ad you used, the words for the ad. And so I include all of that in the name of the campaign. Then you're going to pick a budget. I usually recommend at first just pick $5 a day. Amazon does not usually spend all of it, but you could pick $5 a day. You could pick the duration. For the purposes of this workshop, we'll just say no end date. And then you'll pick automatic, meaning I want Amazon to pick the categories. I want Amazon to pick the targets for me. You will choose standard, which means no copy, no ad copy. You'll pick your book out of the list of books, and you'll set a bid for 30 to 35 cents. Now, if your book is a standalone, do 30 cents. If it's the first book in a series, you could do 35 cents. Then I recommend you always double check your bid. You want that bid to be 30 or 35 cents, not something else by accident. Then you're going to click Create Campaign, and you're all set for your first auto ad. It seems simple enough. And everything else that I didn't list on here, you pretty much just ignore. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. You might say that seems simple enough. It really isn't too bad. Let me show you here. So going back over to Amazon Advertising, we'll go back to Campaigns. And we are going to click Create a Campaign. Now, it's almost always going to be sponsored. Product lock screen ads are not something I would recommend for most. So I'm zooming back here just so we can see. Let's look at this whole page at a glance. Campaign name, we have a start, we have an end date, a budget, how you choose the targeting. Campaign bidding strategy, something we will ignore. We will choose standard ad, which is going to create an ad group setting. You don't even have to worry about that. You can just leave it as it is. You'll see this is where we pick the books. This is where we set the bid. Negative keyword targeting, negative product targeting, we ignore. So let's go back up to the top. Do TVS SPA, which is Viral Superhero Series. sponsored product auto targeted ad, and we're just going to do 35 cents. I'm not going to put an end date. I'm not going to put it into any folders. Going to select $5 as my daily budget. Not going to do anything on campaign bidding strategy. Ad format, we picked standard. I'm not going to change anything here on the ad group. And I'm going to pick my product here, which is my box set. Going to select add. Scroll down. And we said we wanted to pick 35 cents here. So we're just going to pick 35 cents. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So TVS SPA 35. I didn't put it into a portfolio, which as a reminder is a folder where you are going to be able to put your ad. No end date, $5 daily budget, automatic targeting, dynamic bids down only, standard ad. Don't need to change the ad group name. You pick your book from a list and you change your bid. You can ignore the suggested bid. It is not relevant. Amazon trying to get you to spend more money. You put 35 cents here and you click launch campaign and that's it. Then it's up there. You're going to get an email that says your ad campaign has been moderated, which means that if it says inside the email it's eligible to be served, then you're set and you will have your first or your 100th Amazon ad. Authors have spent countless hours trying to look at their ads and say, well, if I had 616 orders listed, but it says I have 1,700 orders for the month, what does that really mean? And what that really means is it doesn't matter. Trying to figure out what came from an ad, what didn't come from an ad. The better way to determine if your ads are profitable is to check how much money did I make overall, how much did I spend? Because you want that number for royalties to be higher than your spend. So if you notice that you did pull that off, then you're running profitable ads. Once you've gathered your ad spend from a given time period on the Amazon ad dashboard, let's say a certain month, like I'm looking at July 2020 here, then you can compare that directly to your royalties. Now you can do this for all of your books or for one book at a time. If you've had higher royalties than the ad spend, you've turned a profit. And the best recommendation I would have for you when you've turned a profit is to run more ads, because you want to try to create, I think I meant to say create more profit. You want to create more profit. And this really is the ultimate comparison. This is truly the most important test in your author marketing journey. This is profit. I've talked to hundreds of authors who do not realize, hey, you want to have one number bigger than the other. You want to have more royalties than ad spend. You don't just get freaked out if you see, oh, my ad spend went from $5 to $10, I'm turning it off. Well, what happened to your profit? Did your profit double as well? And so before you assess anything else about your book or your series, you need to know how to find and calculate profit. Now, what if you lost money? Well, you want to double check. Did you follow the steps correctly? Did you bid 30 to 35 cents? Were your targets similar? Were they accurate and relevant? Then you want to kind of evaluate, well, how much did I lose? Did I lose $10? Did I lose $100? Because if you only lost a little bit, that might not prove anything. And if you're in something like Kindle Unlimited, or you have a book in a series, You'll want to keep an eye on, well, did I actually make money when people got around to reading my book on Kindle Unlimited? And if your book is the first in a series, the next few weeks you could see someone who bought book 1 go on to buy book 2 and 3. And that was a result of the ad. Don't get it wrong. If you got someone to your first book through an ad and they went on to read book 2 and 3, that is because of the ad. And so you should attribute those sales to being the result of the ad as well. Now, if you've done all that, you've looked at the numbers, you still don't have a profit, here's what I would recommend. I didn't mean to have that all in the subject there. But if you've gotten 10 or fewer clicks overall, it means you really haven't gathered enough data. You want to create more ads to get more. If you've gotten 10 to 50 clicks, you can try dropping your bid by a penny a day, because it's possible that even just by spending a little less money per click, you might get to the point where your ads are profitable. If you've gotten a fair number of clicks, 50 or more, you can decrease your bid up to 2 cents a day till you get to 20 to 25 cents. Now, we don't want to really shut down these ads. Unless the ads are really going wild and spending $100+, we don't want to shut them down because we're trying to get some data here. We want to assess something called conversion rate, which is how many clicks it takes for someone to buy your book. And we need a decent amount of data. We usually need about 100 clicks to figure this out. So if you determine, Brian, I looked at this, I got 100 clicks. It looked like 2 people bought out of 100. That's really bad. What do I do? Well, there's some ways you can improve your conversion. We're not going to go into it deeply. One of the easier ways is to lower your price. Kind of the no-brainer way is if you have an ebook version, you can change the subtitle of the book to make it more clear what the book is. One of the simpler ways is to get a better book description, a better product description that better fits your book. One of the tougher things, trying to get more customer reviews, because that can, if you have no reviews, it can really impact how well your ads do. And one of the most inconvenient is to kind of start some things from scratch here. Get a new title and get a new cover. We have seen authors use these methods to take ads that were not profitable and turn them profitable. Obviously, if you're traditionally published or you're with a small press, some of these things are not under your control. But if you're self-published, they are more under your control. So how would I figure this out exactly? Well, let me walk you through it real quick. Let's say we're looking back at our campaigns and we wanted to see, well, Brian, I want to see how your one of your books is doing. So I'm pulling up the stats for one of my workbooks, one of my best-selling books, my grades 9 through 10 creative writing workbook. And according to this, I spent $307.16 on ads just to this book. So we're going to go look here. We're going to go back to last month. And we're, instead of saying all books, we're going to just look at 9, 10. So I don't know why 2 things are showing up here. But we have $1,211.11. So we spent $307. We earned $1,200. We are in profit. This is great. This is wonderful news. So if we look here, we are going to see the profit pretty easily. But if we want to figure out the conversion rate, we actually go to this orders page. So we're looking back at last month again. And we're going to apply. And we're going to look at that same book. All right. We have 471 sales of this book. Now, if we go to see how many clicks we have, it's 908. So we're going to get out our calculator here, because conversion rate is the number of clicks divided by the number of sales. So the number of clicks is 908. And the number of sales is 471. We divide it by 471. Now, we ideally want a number that is lower than 10. Lower than 10 is more likely to be very profitable. And we see here our number is actually 1.9278 and so on. And so the conversion rate for this book is good. What if the conversion rate was not good? Well, I would go to my sales page here, and I would go to my workbook here. You'll see it's showing up as an ad right here. See if I can find it on the first page of workbooks. It looks like not. So I'll just put in my name, but it's very encouraging that my book shows up right then and there. So that's the sponsored. Looks like they're doing more ads than usual. And I had a little trouble finding my book here, but looks like I'm taking up all of the ads, which is nice. Here we go. No, this actually isn't the right one. Let me go to my page here and pull up this book. Here we go. So here we are. What do we see? We see the reviews are pretty good, but if they were not good, we would want to get some more. The title seems pretty consistent with what people are looking for, but if it was not, we could tweak the title. We could change out this cover. Here's the book description here. We could tweak this if the book was not selling. And those are some of the things. We could change out the subtitle. We could do all of these things. And I actually did do all of these things when I found that my book, Ted Saves the World, was not doing so well. I can't even find it anymore because I unpublished it, but let's go find it here. When I found that my book was not doing so well, changed out everything. I changed out the description. I changed out the cover. I changed out the title. And what I ended up with was this. Dark Souls. Young adult superhero novel. And a much stronger cover that fits better with the genre. Stronger book description. Stronger everything.